I don't know if you know this, but I am actually a seasoned ghost hunter who has been on exactly one ghost hunting trip.
I guess having the only light in the room is kind of a, oh shit, you got it.
I got it.
Holy mackerel.
And through that experience, I learned a thing or two about what it takes to be a real paranormal investigator. But I want to put my wealth of experience to the test. I found this show, The Celebrity Paranormal Project, where they basically take a team of 4 celebrities, give them a bunch of ghost hunting equipment, and set them loose for the night in a haunted location. It's actually a lot like the show Fear, which I did a video about like a year ago. But this show presents us with a unique opportunity. Throughout its 8-episode run, The Celebrity Paranormal Project presented us with celebrity after celebrity in a ghost hunting environment, which means that this show is not just a dumb 2000s reality show. It's a data set. Using the experience of some of the biggest C-list celebrities of the 2000s, we can see how they did in a ghost hunting environment and then use our findings to determine what modern celebrity would be the best ghost hunter. Also, to address the elephant in the room, I did move recently, so this is my new room. Let me know if you like it, and if not, there's nothing I can really do about that. This is the space I have to film in. We got all the heavy hitters still, though. We got the Simpsons Hit and Run. We got the Groundhog. Banana Phone. You know, now that I think about it, I might actually want to get like some Halloween decorations since this is a Halloween video. I went to Spirit Halloween and I got what I needed, and also a wristband for donating to a children's hospital, and also, do you guys think I should be the pink inflatable fall guy for Halloween or the chicken inflatable fall guy for Halloween? Let me know in the comments. Ta-da! So in our discussion of what celebrity would make the best ghost hunter, it's important to decide what makes a good ghost hunter to begin with. Now, obviously I could draw on my personal experience for this, as I have a wealth of ghost hunting experience, but I think it's important to find an objective measure of how good at ghost hunting you are. So I went to the most objective place I could find, wikihow.com. How to catch ghosts. We're gonna go through this article and use it as our basis for what criteria we'll judge the celebrities on. All right, part 1, locating ghosts. We don't really have to worry about that because the show does that for them. And this is pretty stock advice. Look for ghosts in old houses. Look for ghosts in cemeteries. Likely place for them to be. Look for ghosts in old schools. Oh my god, there's so many places you can look for is there a ghost in here? Listen to local folklore. Okay, that's interesting. And this guy does look like he's got some folklore to share with us. Okay, this is the part that actually matters. Confirming the presence of a ghost. Use a camcorder. Okay. Use a tape recorder. Okay. Use an EMF detector. Okay, so it seems like this section is just saying kind of like use equipment. So can these celebrities master their equipment? We'll lock that in. Wait, download a ghost hunting app. Okay, I'm starting to doubt the credibility of this WikiHow article. I don't even know if I believe in ghosts, but you shouldn't be telling me to download an app to find them. But you know what? Actually, here's a really good piece of advice. Look out for any paranormal activity. Yeah, not many people know this, but when you're out looking for ghosts, look for ghosts. Watch out for items falling or moving location. Keep an ear out for unusual and unexplained noises. Pay attention to any sudden changes in... Okay, so with that advice, these celebrities are going to experience a lot of paranormal activity because I am guessing they're going to be really scared. But I guess maybe that being open to paranormal experience is a big part of this, so connection to the spirit realm will be another category. With those two things in mind, let's also consider how well the celebrities work on a team, because if you can't work together to hunt ghosts, you're not hunting ghosts anymore. You're never going to work in this town again, pal. And then the town is like Halloween Town or something. And then I'm also going to track the number of encounters that the celebrities have, and we'll be pretty generous with that. Normally when I'm watching a show where people are hunting ghosts, I'm always very skeptical, and I don't assume that like someone saying they heard a voice is an actual ghost encounter. But for the purposes of this, we're going to be really generous with what is an encounter. If the celebrity says they heard a voice, that's an encounter. If the celebrity says they got touched by a ghost, that sounds okay. We have to be able to take celebrities at their word. If we can't trust them, who can we trust? So we have 4 categories: connection to spirits, equipment mastery, encounters, and teamwork. For every celebrity, the categories each get a numbered score. And then I will use those numbers, put them into a proprietary formula that I will not reveal to you. Because for all I know, some of you may work for big ghosts and you want to come after my intellectual property. That formula will give us a number somewhere between 0 and like around 20 on the high end, giving every celebrity a numerical score based off of how good they are at ghost hunting. We will then take the best ghost hunter from every episode and analyze what kind of celebrity are they. Are they an actor? A football player? A model? What do they do in their free time? Do they own a chain of sandwich restaurants? Do they own a brand of vodka? And through that analysis, we will figure out what modern celebrity might be the best ghost hunter based off of what things they have in common with the best ghost hunters of yesteryear. All right, it's been a week and I have watched every episode of the Celebrity Paranormal Project, and also this ghost fell off of my ceiling, so he is here now. Now, I've gone through and ranked every celebrity based off of the 4 criteria we just discussed. Now what I want to do is present to you my findings. I'm going to go episode by episode and just show you who scored the best in each episode and why. And I'll also be talking about some of the wacky, funny moments and some of the moments that made me really uncomfortable. Because, oh boy, are there a lot of those. Episode 1 is a certified doozy. The main story of this episode, I would say, is 4 celebrities trying their best to keep their wits about them as they endure a night alone in a haunted location with Gary Busey.
My name is Gary Busey, and I came to Louisville on a mission that I know nothing about.
When I saw that Gary Busey was in this episode, I was very intrigued because I only really know him as like a butt of a joke on Family Guy. Not that I'm watching a lot of Family Guy anymore, but when I was, they would always cut away to like these bits where it was just painting Gary Busey as like this wacky, crazy guy. And I'm happy to tell you that after watching this episode, I think they were right. Gary brings a sort of scary vibe to the ghost hunt that the celebrities really don't like.
Shut up. Shut up right now. Shut up. Shut the
up, Gary. Don't talk to me like that.
Every celebrity gets kind of like a fact sheet with some credits you might know them from. For instance, on this episode, there's also Jenna Maraska, who was a Survivor winner, and that's like the first thing on her sheet. And then it lists an acting credit, and then also her activism with PETA, and that's a pretty good summation of who she is as a celebrity. This is Gary's.
I don't know what to expect, but I have been in a position where I've been to the other side.
He was surrounded by angels during a near-death experience. Elephant in the room, I don't know if that fits in there. Sort of a dramatic change of pace from the other introductory facts. When I have to introduce 2 people, I don't jump to their most off-the-wall spiritual experience. It's never like, hi, this is my friend Richard. You guys would actually get along because he also works in marketing. Also, he's recently been having recurring dreams about his unborn future son, telling him how he's gonna die. The other issue I have with them using that for Gary's introduction is, did they fact check it? Where's your journalistic integrity, Celebrity Paranormal Project? But regardless, like I said earlier, we have to take these celebrities at their word. So actually, that fact is gonna raise Gary's CTS score quite a bit. CTS is short for Connection to Spirits. I will say, Gary is losing all of his teamwork points because there is a lot of conflict in this episode and it's all his fault. He scored a -5 in that category because he refused to stop yelling at everybody the entire time he was there.
Talk to Carr. Don't tell me what to do. Shut the
Now, this was my first episode, so I was still getting to know the style of the show, and I noticed that they are playing it really fast and loose when it comes to faking evidence.
Whoa.
That's just a edited clip. That's a ghost effect that they dropped over the footage on the timeline and just hit blending mode multiply and sent it off. And that's annoying for a few reasons, but mainly because when you're making a ghost show, I assume it's important to you that the viewer watching it can buy into the show. Even if you're making everything up or the encounters you're capturing are not that good, you can't just CGI a ghost in. How dare you, Celebrity Paranormal Project? You are spitting on the hard-won integrity of shows like Ghost Adventures and Paranormal Cops.
Are you Italian? Yes or no?
Not scared of the dark.
Nothing there tonight that's not there during the day.
That cut rules. There's nothing there that's not there in the daytime. Except for an aging actor with an anger issue. Enough about Gary, though. For as many problems as he caused, I think it's pretty clear he did not win this episode. The winner was actually Hal Sparks, who is probably best known for playing Tak on Tak and the Power of Juju on Nickelodeon, which I will say is a show that I did watch as a kid, and I am absolutely sure holds up horribly. Hal did good on this show, though. He had a bunch of moments where he worked really well with everybody, except, of course, Gary, who for some reason really hated him right from the jump and refused to learn his name.
Tuberculosis was a disease. It was in the lung area.
It was a bacterial infection of the lungs.
Hey, thank you, Doc.
My name's Hal Sparks.
And Hal took to the equipment pretty easily. You might even say he mastered it. And Gary didn't master shit, okay? The closest he got to mastering equipment was when he picked up this saw randomly and everyone got really tense.
I have a hacksaw and a rib bone in my sack.
And look, I'd be scared too. Best case scenario, he's gonna try and what? Saw the ghost? That's not gonna work, okay? Ghosts aren't made of wood, pal. At least most of them are. Episode 1 went by in a flash. It was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming, but we got our first celebrity with a certified victory royale. Hal Sparks ends this episode with a whopping score of 16 points. 1 down, 7 more to go. Now look, after episode 1, I was kind of hoping that episode 2 would be a little bit more down to earth, you know, less screaming, less eventful overall. And this is a real example of being careful what you wish for, because episode 2 was actually boring as hell. Maybe that's because there wasn't a big personality in this one. The celebrities in this one range from Rachel Hunter, who's a model and actor, to the comedian Godfrey. There's also Tony Little, who is a fitness guru that lives in a haunted house and calls women females.
I lived in a haunted house. The ghost was a female and she hated women.
Initially, I thought the haunted house angle was gonna help Tony win this one, but he spent the entire episode trying to scare his teammates.
Do you know how many thousands of people went crazy here and died here?
Which is maybe a funny idea, like if it were executed by someone who was funny or good at jokes. But in this case, it's just unhelpful. So Tony lost some major teamwork points there. Godfrey also lost a bunch of teamwork points because he abandoned his teammate during an investigation.
Come on, man, let's just go. Let's just break.
No, we can't.
I can't do
The way each episode is structured is teams of 2 celebrities get sent out on multiple investigations throughout the night. Usually it's like 4 or 5. And this was like the second investigation of the night, and Godfrey just straight up went back to base camp.
I'm returning to base camp.
He got so scared while he was in that room, he had to leave. And that's, I gotta say, breaking rule number 1 of ghost hunting, because we all know to catch a ghost, you have to be like in a room with a ghost. This episode is also noteworthy because it shows off something the production team does throughout their whole run of the show: torture the contestants. There are several times throughout this show where the celebrities hear a scream or a banging noise or some scary thing in the dark.
Stop. I just heard someone scream.
And assuming those aren't added in post, like the CGI Casper the Ghost that we saw earlier, well, I want to say I'm pretty open to, you know, there might be ghosts, who knows? In this case, I think it's pretty obvious that that's just the production staff messing with them to get good TV. And it doesn't even really work, because every time they hear a scream, everyone's like, that's crazy. And then they go back to base camp.
I'm returning to base camp.
It's really not that interesting and it doesn't add much. But because we're being generous with what an encounter is, we'll count the screams, who cares? And if you don't like that, this is, you'd make a video. Rachel Hunter actually gets 2 encounters, some pretty good equipment usage, and some great teamwork moments, which means that she takes home the title for episode 2. Rachel Hunter ends this episode with a whopping score of 16 points. I want you to imagine for a second that you are a well-regarded and famous comedian who was on Saturday Night Live, and you get a call to do a show where you get to run around an empty building and scream with a bunch of 20-somethings. How quickly do you accept and why? That may sound like a far-fetched career path, but you are wrong, actually. That is the real story of Joe Piscopo. This guy is the first celebrity I've seen on this show where I'm like, why are you here? Not that Joe Piscopo is like an A-list celebrity, but it's just so weird to see him here when everyone else is like a reality show contestant or the star of Baywatch. And maybe he knows that.
Yeah, I'm Joe Piscopo. I'm an entertainer, basically. What I'm doing here, I have no idea.
Now, alongside Piscopo in this episode, there is also Michael Bergen, who is a actor who was on Baywatch, as well as Peekaboo Street, who is an Olympic skier and also in the running for having the best name ever conceived of. After watching this episode, from what she did in this show, Peekaboo rules. She's funny, she's very likable, and she's good at hunting ghosts. She also talks up her paranormal experience quite a bit in the beginning of the show.
I personally have had a lot of crossover visitors.
But let's put a pin in that because I kind of have a philosophical conundrum I want to talk about with you guys. Joe Piscopo rejects the idea of ghosts because he is a Christian man.
And I believe in the saints. I believe in God. Deal with it.
And as the scorekeeper for this experiment, that leaves me at quite the crossroads. Because you'll notice that one of these categories is called connection to spirits. And I would argue that even if he does not believe in ghosts, Joe Piscopo might be connected to the Holy Spirit? I don't know. Regardless, it's going to lower his teamwork score because he's being a little preachy.
Deal with it.
Now at the end of the episode, the celebrities have to identify where the heart of the haunting is.
This area is called the heart of the haunting.
The Heart of the Haunting is the place inside the building they're investigating that has the most paranormal activity based off of what they found in their investigation. For example, this episode takes place at an abandoned prison, and all the celebrities agree that the most active area, the Heart of the Haunting, is where the electric chair is, which makes sense. Now, when they decide the Heart of the Haunting, they also have to pick which celebrity is the most connected to the spirit. Sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? And then that celebrity will lead a seance ritual type thing that they do in the Heart of the Haunting as a final hurrah for the ghost hunt. And I guess in this episode, nobody reads scripture because they pass right over Joe Piscopo and pick Peekaboo instead. I think it also goes without saying that if a celebrity is chosen to lead the ritual, they're gonna get a couple extra points in the old CTS category. So with that in mind, and a successful ritual performed at the electric chair, which, oh my God, actually what a grim sentence. Oh, this show is so disrespectful. With all that in mind though, Peekaboo wins with an astonishing score of 18 points. And I'm sure after this video comes out, the celebrities that didn't win this episode are gonna be up late tossing and turning and haunted by the fact they didn't win my little game. But I hope they rest easy knowing that this episode was actually really fun to watch. Unlike the first two, this one had a great arc. There were a few believers going into the episode, but like Michael Bergen and Joe Piscopo both were hardline no's on believing in ghosts.
I don't believe 100%.
I believe in God.
And then by the end of the episode, they'd had such a spooky experience that they were maybe coming around to it.
But something's going on here. There's some paranormal activity.
And I really like that. I think it's cool that these celebrities aren't just phoning it in, you know, that they're actually open to being taken by the whimsy of this experience. It's also really refreshing to not have any weirdos. Between Tony Little and Gary Busey in the first two episodes, I was getting a little concerned. And just when I thought it couldn't get any more fun, in episode 4, Gilbert Gottfried shows up. That's right. You underestimated this show. I know you did. You said to yourself at the beginning of this video, Celebrity Paranormal Project will never book Gilbert Gottfried. And you were wrong. And I don't even need to tell you what happens because it's obvious Gilbert Gottfried is the best ghost hunter in the group. And yeah, sure, maybe that's because he was competing against people with credits like wants to be a Fox News anchor, which I think is something that should put you on an international watch list. But look, it's undeniable. Gilbert's aura permeates this entire episode. The other celebrities are cracking jokes trying to impress him. They're all getting absolutely silly in this haunted house, which I guess is what you do in a haunted house, now that I think about it. Gilbert Gottfried also has a very compelling arc. He starts off as very cool under pressure, but just like all great heroes, Gilbert Gottfried is not invincible. Towards the end of the show, he gets very scared about going to the Heart of the Haunting, and the group has to come together to like kind of motivate him into doing it.
No,
You can do it, Gilbert.
Gilbert, come, I'll protect you.
This episode, weirdly enough, was like very sweet, and it genuinely got big teammate points for everybody. It was a high scoring episode. Everybody was doing really, really great, and there was only one person who scored below 10, which is really good. Gilbert did win this episode by scoring 16 points overall. Episode 4 was a delight to watch, honestly. Everybody got along really well. They found some evidence. They had a great time ghost hunting, and they became friends.
I love you guys.
You guys were awesome.
This is the type of narrative perfection you don't get in Hollywood today. Episode 4 being good is maybe why episode 5 felt like a real stinker. Episode 5 may have the most annoying old actor since Gary Busey. David Carradine was a successful actor and also, according to this episode of Celebrity Paranormal Project, a huge asshole. He starts this episode with a flute that he says is going to help him capture ghosts.
I can tranquilize any ghost or even make him appear with this sucker.
So initially I was like, oh, this guy's all in on capturing ghosts. But then like 5 minutes into the episode, he just gets really combative and acts like he doesn't want to be there.
Did you hear footsteps?
Oh, come on.
I think there's someone down here.
Yeah, I know. You keep saying that.
There's a lot of noises.
Stop talking.
Stop talking. Okay, that's interesting. How are they supposed to catch ghosts if they can't talk? Also, David, why are you acting like none of this is real? You brought the flute. You don't get to be dismissive of someone's ghost encounter, okay? You brought a flute to the function. Come to think of it, actually, that could be why he was so mad when they were talking.
Stop talking.
He was like, shut up, shut up! This episode is not defined by David Carradine, though. This episode also has Coolio, who, if you don't know, wrote one of the most famous songs forever and was a very successful artist. So I was confused why he was on Celebrity Paranormal Project because he's clearly got better things to do. Until I realized Coolio is in this to win this.
I believe that everything is true until you prove that it's not.
He is fully invested in this ghost hunt, which makes me think that this guy who has so many other things he could be doing got the offer to do this show and probably like canceled other stuff to be here. That's awesome. You can say the same about Gilbert Gottfried too, I guess, but it's just crazy to see that these guys are doing this show for the love of the game. And also they're getting paid, but you know, it's for the love of the game.
What?
Hey, can we...
Coolio, chill.
Coolio has a horrible time in the final ritual. He wants to get out of there so bad.
I'm a little bit shook.
And I get that it's scary, but really Coolio should have been happy here.
What?
Because that was an encounter, which is big point. Coolio ends this episode with 14 points, making him the winner for this group of celebrities. David, meanwhile, joined Gary Busey in the Below Zero Club. He scored a -3 to match his negative attitude. Also, I want to call attention to the fact that the final scene in this episode is Coolio faking a door opening on its own.
No.
Which I just think is really cheap. It's like, guys, I know that this is a silly show, but like, we don't have to resort to faking evidence like this. It's just getting ridiculous. Episode 6. I want to get this out of the way right at the top. Ernie Hudson is in this episode. Ernie Hudson, if you don't know, is a Ghostbuster. As an objective judge of this competition, I cannot overlook that. Ernie Hudson wins episode 6. No contest. If you take issue with that, feel free to go in the comments and tell me if any of these 4 people have ever been a Ghostbuster. Oh, I'm waiting. I want you to tell me if these people have ever been a Ghostbuster. If you can tell me, maybe I'll change my mind. I'll wait. It's your lunch, guys. So from what I understand, episode 7 is considered a lost episode, which is funny because it's readily available with the rest of the show. The reason they call it that, though, is because episode 7 was actually filmed way before all the other episodes, because it's the pilot for the series. And I don't know if it's just because I've seen so much of the show so recently, but you can kind of tell. This episode feels like it was filmed way before they had a handle on what the show was actually going to be. This episode is also abnormal because it features a possession. Allegedly. Deborah Wilson is an actor perhaps best known now for her work in a bunch of very popular video games. She's done movies and TV too, but she's really been grinding the motion capture business as of late. That being said, if you were alive in 2006, which I was not, I'm just a baby, you would probably know Deborah Wilson from Mad TV, and then of course this time she got possessed on Celebrity Paranormal Project. Suffice to say, Deborah Wilson getting possessed is gonna raise her CTS score pretty high. There also hasn't been another possession in the show at all, so we kind of have to consider Deborah as maybe a candidate for the best ghost hunt. Except, the location they are at, from what I can tell, is fake. They say this episode takes place in the Sosuro Canyon commune, which when you Google it, the only thing that comes up is this episode of Celebrity Paranormal Project. And when you go to Google Maps and search for a Sosuro, the only things that come up are in Central America and Europe, where this show was definitely not filming. My question to the producers of the Celebrity Paranormal Project: why make up a cult? And if that's the case, the people running this show should be in the haunted house business, because they scared Deborah Wilson so bad that she did this. If I'm totally wrong about Sosuro Canyon, by the way, let me know. I can't find anything about it. But regardless, when it comes to scoring this show, we have to go along with the blatant lies that the production created. So in the universe of the show, this is a real location, and Deborah Wilson did the best ghost hunting there. She had the strongest connection to spirits. You can guess why. And was genuinely a very strong leader on the team. She was really getting things done. And those 2 scores alone led to her taking the crown. She wound up with a final score of 14 points. Now, with all of that fresh in your minds, I want to tell you this episode sucks. It's not that interesting, and knowing that the place they're investigating isn't like a real place totally takes the air out of it. Even if I don't think other locations they're looking at are haunted, I can at least still enjoy it because I know it is a real place with real like history, and like I recognize it from like BuzzFeed Unsolved or whatever. This place, made up. It honestly surprises me that the show got sold with this as the pilot, because I would have thought a TV executive would look at this and go, cool, are we gonna have to make up a location for every episode? That sounds really expensive, guys. I don't know. and we'd have to pay writers. Guys, here we are, the final episode of the show. We are this close to having all the data we need to make an informed decision about who would be the best modern celebrity ghost hunter. I hope you guys are excited, because I was pretty excited before I watched episode 8 and realized that this episode has some of the worst ghost hunters ever. And if that's not enough to get you guys excited, what if I told you that this is a very special episode? Because you see, this is a couples special. Instead of 5 celebrities in this one, it's 4. And they're dating. Well, 2 of them are dating, and then the other 2 are dating. Not all 4 of them are dating. I don't think. That's right. This one's all about love, guys.
That I plan to convince Adrian that the only way to appease the spirits is to have sex with me. So
disgusting. That type of stuff is honestly a huge issue with the show as a whole. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up. Almost every episode has one guy who's in there just making very weird comments to his usually much younger female co-stars. It's incredibly gross, and I was removing a lot of teamwork points about it, which I know sounds silly, but I really don't want someone like that to win in any of these episodes, which you could argue is maybe a bias, but I think you'll give me a pass, because this is my little test, and I don't want a weirdo winning it. But I bring that up just because I want to warn you, if any of you guys decide to watch this show to enjoy some like schlocky 2000s nonsense, there's a lot of moments that didn't age well and also were bad even at the time they were recorded. So unsurprisingly, neither of the male contestants in this episode won because they were being weird the entire time, and this guy also freaked out the second he was left alone.
let me out!
The winner of this episode is Adrian Curry, who is a model and actor.
Where I'm from is called Prison Town. We have 6 places of imprisonment where I'm from.
Okay, you're from Prison Town? Very cool. Sounds like a cut location from Nightmare Before Christmas. What a whimsical name for what I can only imagine is a very grim place. Adrian showed off a ton of level-headedness and leadership. She was great with the equipment. She had a couple good encounters. Frankly, there's nothing more you can ask for in a winning celebrity for one of these episodes. So Adrian Curry ends this episode with 18 points. Well. Now that you've been briefed on every episode of Celebrity Paranormal Project, I bet you're wondering who the best paranormal investigators were. Let me break it down for you. In 4th place is Ernie Hudson with 10 points. And I know you're thinking 4th place, that's kind of crazy. There's 8 celebrities. There were a lot of ties. 3rd place is a 2-way tie between Coolio and Deborah Wilson with 14 points. 2nd place is a 3-way tie with Hal Sparks, Rachel Hunter, and Gilbert Gottfried all taking home 16 points. And in 1st place, a 2-way tie goes to Peekaboo Street and Adrian Curry with 18 points each. I had done it. I had all the information I needed to buckle down and do my research into the lives of these 8 peak ghost hunting celebrities. But as the research process progressed, I began to feel uncertain. Would I be able to find some sort of common ground between 8 people who have all led vastly different lives and presumably have never even met one another? Over the past few days, I've spent hours trying to connect these celebrities, feeling doomed to run in circles, trying to connect the fact that Peekaboo Street was born in Idaho to how Gilbert Gottfried was one of the first people to joke about 9/11.
I have to catch a flight to California. I can't get a direct flight. They said they have to stop at the Empire State Building first.
And much like Gilbert after telling that joke, I was getting nervous. Even though I knew deep down that there must be some connection, some underlying factor that made these celebrities predisposed to being good at ghost hunting, it was eluding me. I looked up where they were from. None of them grew up in a haunted house. I looked up who their parents were. None of their parents were ghost hunters. In fact, some of their parents were just other celebrities. And in a last-ditch effort, I just went through and show by show compared all of their TV appearances to see if any of them had been on the same program. And that's when I found it. Every single one of these celebrities has a show in common. A relatively unknown, short-lived program from 2006 called the Celebrity Paranormal Project. Wait. No! God, how could I be so foolish? The Celebrity Paranormal Project can't count. It's barely a real show. I've wasted so much time on this video for it to come to nothing. It's just gonna wind up as something I never post. Something that lives as an odd footnote in the rest of my career. Like how Peekaboo Street was on Nickelodeon's Guts. Or how Coolio made the theme song for Kenan and Kel on Nickelodeon. Or how Ernie Hudson had a one-off role on an episode of a Nickelodeon show in 2014. And Deborah Wilson was cast to be on a show on Nickelodeon in 2022. That's it! All of these celebrities are connected to Nickelodeon in some way. Most of them have acted in at least one show on the network, and if they haven't, they are still tied to Nickelodeon. Rachel Hunter was at the 2000 Kids' Choice Awards, and here's a photo of Adrian Curry on Getty Images. And you'll notice it says taken by Jeff Kravitz for Nickelodeon Television. And I don't care if that attribution note on a photo website is true or not. For this, it counts. Every celebrity on this list is tied to Nickelodeon. This goes all the way to the top. And come to think of it, I found a lot of these celebrities having some sort of junk food tie-in or sponsorship. Peekaboo Street continued her undefeated reign as one of the coolest people who ever lived when she accepted a sponsorship from Mountain Dew. Rachel Hunter was the face of an ice cream company in New Zealand. Deborah Wilson was a Burger King spokesperson. Those are the two biggest connections I could find. Otherwise, these celebrities really don't have that much in common, but I think that's enough to form a conclusion. Basically, we're looking for a contemporary celebrity who was on Nickelodeon and had some sort of sponsorship with fast food or a junk food company. And you know what? I think the choice is pretty obvious. Who has been the face of Nickelodeon itself for decades? The symbol of this institution that defined countless childhoods. A TV performance so iconic that it earned them the right to work with not one, not two, but all three of the biggest fast food burger chains in the US. I'm speaking, of course, of SpongeBob. I posit that SpongeBob, or more accurately, his voice actor, Tom Kenny, is the greatest ghost hunter in modern celebritydom. And now there's only one thing to do to put that to the test. Does Tom Kenny not have an Instagram? Okay, well, I was about to DM Tom Kenny on Instagram, be like, oh, you know, let's go ghost hunting, like as a bit. And the closest thing I found is this, which is Tom Kenny and the High Seas, which is a 13-piece rock and soul band featuring Tom Kenny, voice of SpongeBob. And I feel like it might be annoying to DM them and ask to just talk to Tom. There's 12 other people in this band. I feel like they would feel kind of left out. But I mean, I guess the more the merrier. If you are ever in Chicago, I would love to take you ghost hunting. Also, keep on rocking. Alright, well, I have DM'd Tom Kenny and the High Seas, and I guess we're just gonna wait to see if they respond. Something tells me they'll get back to me pretty quick. Well, there you have it, folks. Tom Kenny is one of the greatest modern celebrity ghost hunters, according to my formula. Mr. Kenny and the other High Seas, if any of you guys see this, just know that I would love to go on a ghost hunt with you. Put all of our skills to the test, you know? Prove my formula right or wrong out in the wild. But until then, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. C, by the way, is S-E-A, like where they are in SpongeBob. Thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of the video. That's so nice of you. You didn't have to do that. If you think I made the wrong choice and that there's another celebrity that would make a better ghost hunter than Tom Kenny, feel free to leave it in the comments and I will DM that celebrity's band on Instagram as well. When my subscribers tell me to DM a celebrity, I do. And that's a Jake's Hot Friend promise.